You're one situation away from being a slime bag too. Welcome to the channel where I call you a slime bag. What's up, everybody? My name is Aubrey with a Y. Welcome to the channel today. I want to talk about this dude, Urban Meyer. All right. Urban Meyer is like this world-class college football coach, coached Ohio State, coached Florida, like won championships with both. He's like a big deal in the college world. Well, now it's a big deal that he is now coaching in the NFL, Jacksonville Jaguars. Well, to say it's been rough, I think, is an understatement. Urban Meyer's team, I mean, we knew they weren't going to be great, but they are 0-4. Things are not going well. People are like, Urban can't coach in the NFL, all this stuff. So they lose 0-4, okay? Now, Urban decides that since they played in Ohio and his family's in Columbus, Ohio, he says, hey, I'm not going to fly back with the team. I'm going to stay here and I'm going to say hi to my grandkids and stay with my family and all this stuff. Well, that's what he says he's doing. And then many of you have probably seen this video. If your kids are around, you might hide your kids, hide your wife, because this is what happened. I'm going to let you hear this. You ready?
Betsy, we have an update now on the Urban Meyer story that we told you about yesterday. That's when Meyer told reporters that he had apologized to his team and to his family for his actions that were caught on several cell phone cameras, capturing his behavior in a Columbus bar. Okay, so there it is. That video, I'm not going to replay it. Here's what went down. That girl that is grinding up on Urban Meyer sitting in the seat there. Let's just put it this way. Here you go, I guess. Let's just put it this way. That chick is not Urban Meyer's wife. Uh-oh, we've got a problem, right? So you've got this coach. He's under fire already, 0-4. He doesn't fly back with his team, which you're like, what head coach doesn't fly with his team, especially when they're 0-4? Like, I'd be in the film room trying to get this thing right. Like, come on. Stays. He says he's going out to this is his restaurant that he's at. Says he's going out to just get a drink. Some people want to take pictures. I've never taken pictures like that. I'm just saying, like, I'm not famous or anything, but I've never taken a picture like that. Here's my main thought for tonight, okay? So stick with me, is that you and I are one situation away from being slime bags too. It's the downfall of being normal, okay? There is a downfall of being normal. If you don't realize that, hey, being a normal person, you are one situation away from the same situation that Urban Meyer is in. So before we go calling him a slime bag and judging him and he's this and he's that, I'd never do that. Listen, I'll tell you, okay, those of you that are Christians, okay, those of you that maybe you follow Jesus and you're watching this because you're like, well, he's a pastor, he's going to speak the truth. I'll speak the truth to you. Here's the truth is just because you love Jesus doesn't mean that you can't screw up. Just because you're like, oh, I love Jesus, I'm in church every Sunday, I know the worship songs, I serve, I give, doesn't mean that you can't screw up. You are one situation away from being a slime bag, just like Urban Meyer was a slime bag in this situation, okay? So it's easy to judge him, but I'd be careful. I'd be careful judging this guy. And there's a biblical story that this happened to. Some of you may have heard of David. If you've grown up in church, or maybe you've heard Bible stories, or maybe you heard of David and Goliath, it's that David, okay? This dude, David, he's the king of Israel, and they're at war. And so he doesn't go to war. And one day he's up on his palace and he's looking around at the city, and he looks down on top of this one house and he sees this hot chick, Bathsheba, bathing, okay? And he's like, hey, servant, who is that? Like, who's that girl? She is hot. I want her. So long story short, he gets her. He's the king, right? He gets whatever he wants. He gets her. He gets her pregnant. Well, it turns out that she's the wife of one of his head dudes of the army. So he tries to get this guy in the army killed off so he doesn't get caught that it's his baby that she's carrying. So he just creates this whole mess. Now, just to give you context, the Bible also says that Jesus or God calls David a man after his own heart. So David is called a man after God's own heart, but yet at the same time, he's the dude who tries to get another guy killed off so that he doesn't get caught that he slept with his wife. Interesting, right? Okay. But there's one scripture. This story's in 2 Samuel chapter 11. It's the very first scripture of 2 Samuel chapter 11. It says, in the spring, at the time when kings go off to war, David sent Joab out with the king's men and the whole Israelite army. Now, I'm not going to read this whole thing. I just want you to see that first little clause there. It says, in the spring, at the time when kings go off to war. What was King David? A king. It was spring. Where was he supposed to be according to this? Off to war. That's where he was supposed to be. So that's what I want us to see, is that this whole David and Bathsheba thing, the first clause that the writer writes here is that in the spring, at the time when kings go off to war. So he's saying when David wasn't even supposed to be where he wasn't supposed to be on that rooftop. He was out supposed to be leading his army. Instead, he sent another guy out to lead the army. So David was not where he belonged. I would say the same thing with Urban Meyer. When does a head coach not fly back with their team? Like, come on, dude, you make millions of dollars. If you really wanted to go back and say hi to your family that bad, you fly home with the team and then you fly back. You can charter it. You can afford it. Like, head coaches belong with their team. Right? Especially when you're 0-4 and you just lost. And so I would say that Urban Meyer was similar to David in the situation where at the time when kings go off to war, at the time when head coaches are supposed to be with their team. And then we know what happened because the beauty of social media now, right? We know what happened. So here's what I just wanted us to learn from this situation is that be careful, one, that you judge, because we're all one situation away from being a slime bag. But I also think that there's a few things that you have to understand about the downfall of being normal. Okay, is that the first thing I would say is you have to know your weaknesses and your tendencies to keep yourself from being in those situations. Like, don't put yourself in places you shouldn't be. All right. So you've got to know your weaknesses and you've got to know your tendency. Like, for instance, dudes, you are dudes. You have a tendency to notice hot girls, whether you're single, whether you're married, it doesn't matter who you are. You have a tendency to notice beautiful women, right? That's part, like, there's nothing wrong with you. You know, you're not like a sinner because you notice beautiful women, but you also have to understand that that's your normal. So don't put yourself in a situation to screw up. I don't care how much you love Jesus. I don't care how much you love your wife. I don't care how much you love your girlfriend. I'm just telling you, all girls get more beautiful late at night and in the dark. I'm just saying. And if you put yourself in a situation like that, guess what you're going to do? Something like what Urban Meyer did, especially if you have a little bit of liquid encouragement involved with that, if you know what I'm saying, right? So you've got to understand that. It's not Slimebag. It's not Urban Meyer's. I mean, he might be, I don't know. But I know lots of normal people that make mistakes just because they're in the wrong place where they didn't belong at that time. All right. So what do you do about it? You got to set up boundaries. You've got to know your weaknesses and your tendencies. And then you've got to set up boundaries in your life to protect yourself from those situations. I think one of the greatest examples and probably the thing that probably looks closest to what church should look like than anything is AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. There's discipleship happening. There's supernatural things happening. There's transformation happening. There's accountability happening. I mean, think about it. How beautiful it is that somebody that will admit that I am a recovering alcoholic, all the boundaries that they set up and that they have help setting up around their life because they understand the tendencies that they have, right? So you've got to know your weakness. You've got to know your tendencies, and then you have to have the ability and the courage to set up boundaries so you don't find yourself in the wrong place in the wrong time, and you don't allow your just normal to be the downfall. You don't allow the normal to make you a slime bag. You don't allow normal to have a video on social media about you, or more importantly, You don't wreck your family. You don't wreck your business. You don't wreck your friendships. Come on, man. So is Urban Meyer a slime bag? He might be. I don't know. But I don't think he's a slime bag because of what he did. I think it was a classic David and Bathsheba. A time when the king was supposed to be at war. A time when the head coach should have been with his team. So that's my encouragement for you. Is that you're one situation away from being a slime bag too. Welcome to the channel where I call you a slime bag, right? Hey, let me know what you think in the comments. If this has helped you at all, let me know. If this has helped you, man, I would love if you would like this video on YouTube. It helps the algorithm say, hey, I like this video, and I think some other people would too. Hey, thank you guys for joining me. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Man, it means a lot that you would take some time and hang out with me. We'll see you next Wednesday at 9:30. Make sure you follow and you subscribe, and you also hit those notifications, because I may not be able to wait till next Wednesday. I may make some more videos before then. So if you haven't hit that notification bell, make sure you do that so you know when we go live or when I post new videos. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. Aubrey with a Y. I'm out.